Yes.
Hello, everybody. This is another session
Hello.
of the FivexL videos on our YouTube channel. And today we're going to be talking about building an MVP on AWS. We've been
Yes.
approached by some customers at some events. They approach us through our website. Some internal customers also ping us, asking us how we can build an MVP on AWS using the latest technologies, but also keeping everything secure, under control in terms of cost, and of course, scalable and delivering the value that the companies are looking for. So we've been thinking about this some time, and then Andrey and I decided to record this video to bring some topics, and Andrey is gonna share his experience and his thoughts about building an MVP on AWS. So Andrey, thanks for having me here. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Well, actually, it's going to be a multiple videos. I'm just going to set the stage for the more videos to come. There are many things that you need to configure on AWS, and I will lead with account creation and what you would do when you're creating account. And another item that I would like to mention for the background is it's not only how you start MVP on AWS, but also like not what you're supposed to be doing, but what not to be doing, right? Like what are the things that are hard to correct later on? So we're gonna be looking at those. In my part of the video, there are actually not that many things that you can do wrong, really. It's more like when it comes to the networking, compute, databases, there are things to screw up. But let's take a look. So I have those things that you would usually see in articles talking about managing your first AWS account, and probably there will be not as many surprises here. I will go through them briefly, and I also have an account registered, and I will actually go through all of those and do them, except of maybe a bonus part that is down there below. So first of all, when you register your AWS account, you're acting as your root user in your AWS account. And that's most powerful entity, you can do anything, the God mode if you like. That's why losing access to the root user or having someone taking over it would be a quite catastrophic event. That's why you want to enable MFA and actually stop using it. Also, while registering, you will notice that AWS will ask you a ton of questions, and you might be a privacy-focused person and might be tempted to give some not accurate or maybe not existing details. And I would not recommend doing that because it's very important. AWS will go and check, it will compare it with your billing information, and if they find some discrepancies, your account could be frozen. This is how they deal with, bots and people abusing AWS accounts, like creating a lot of accounts automatically. So it's very important that you specify your real contact details, your real information should match your billing information, and make sure that the email and the phone you specify, you have access to those. You can receive and send emails from that email. You can receive and send SMSs or like calls from the phone you specify. It's important because you would need those details if you need to recover access to your account. And we had situations where customers lost those. Recovery was really, really hard. Then you want, as I said, you don't want really to use your root user. You want to create IAM user and use that one instead, again, together with MFA. Then you want to create the budget and cost anomaly alert for many customers we talk to and ask what's important for you as a startup owner when you choose your cloud provider, or like when you think about building on the cloud provider. Many of them say the time it takes to go to market, how fast can they build it, but also control over their finances and not being surprised with the huge bills in the end of the billing cycle. And this is where the budget and cost anomaly alerts will help you. then you would need to choose the region where you're going to have your workloads. And there are multiple considerations. Generally, geographic proximity to your user base, that would be one of them. Another one is the history of incidents in the region. So there is, for instance, US East 1, which is the oldest region. You have almost all services would be launched there first. So if you want to have access to the newest services, that's probably a good place to be, but it's the most turbulent region. And quite often you would have big outages there. It's not that they're happening all the time, but once a year you might expect something for a couple of hours to go wrong. If you're fine with that, then maybe discard that. But if you need high availability, maybe choose another one. US East 2, for instance. And another thing with US East 1 is that when you create VPC in there, you would have 6 availability zones. And if you want to cover all available availability zones, then you would have a lot of subnets, potentially a lot of NAT gateways, and so on and so on. So US East 2 is smaller. It's only 3 availability zones.
Andrey, if you allow me to say something about the region. Nowadays it's becoming less common, but it's important to check which services are available, enabled in that region, because for certain services, AWS doesn't deploy all services in all regions for some reasons, and just check it, right? Sometimes you choose a region and that specific service that you want to use not available in that region, and then you have to recreate resources, and it's a nightmare. I've been through it before, so it's just my 2 cents regarding regions.
Yes. Like, I think that would be mostly common for the newly created region. So if the region was just launched, you could expect that not all services will be available. So that's why you might want to choose some older regions. Like in Europe, that will be the Frankfurt region, and all the 4 US regions are quite well established.
Yep, indeed. Yep.
Right, so you have your region, then you enable CloudTrail. CloudTrail is a service that records all API calls, like all management and maybe data API calls. You might not need that immediately, but if you have some kind of security situation, you would be able to troubleshoot what's going on in CloudTrail and see what's went wrong, who touched what, who changed the configuration, and so on and so on. Another useful thing with CloudTrail that you can deploy our FivexL Terraform model, CloudTrail to Slack. You can Google that one. And that will send you notification to Slack if you, for instance, getting access denied. Quite often when you're creating roles for your services, they might get access denied, but it will be not obvious from how service behaves. And you will see that in Slack messages. So you will get instant feedback, and that's very, very handy. Also, it will send you alerts if the root user is used, and so on. So I highly recommend you take a look. And finally, you want to enable GuardDuty. GuardDuty is an intrusion detection system. So if there is something fishy going on in your account, it will be able to notify you. There might be some false positives, but it's better to be safe than sorry right here. So you can deal with those. Usually there won't be that many, but we actually had situations where GuardDuty supported crypto miners on customers' misconfigured EC2 servers. So we were able to kick those miners off the customer premises, customers' accounts. This is where GuardDuty was useful. Also, like if you have data exfiltration happening, it might be able to spot it. It's not guaranteed, but it's almost free, and especially on the small workloads when you don't have a lot of traffic. So it's just turnkey kind of solution. Just turn it on, and you have it. And if you are advanced in your AWS usage, then I would recommend also enabling AWS organization and using your existing account that you just created and AWS organization within it to create additional accounts and use those as your development and production. as well as opting into the IAM Identity Center and enabling SSO. But that's not, I mean, it's not hardcore requirement. And if you don't have the IDP that you can lean on, then IAM Identity Center will not help you. So with that, let's take a look how you could do all of that. And also, we understand that all startup founders, CTOs are busy, so we're actually picking up stuff that takes very little time to do. So I've been talking over, Guillermo and I've been talking for 10 minutes now. Let's see if I would be able to configure all of this within 10 minutes.
Andrey, while you are showing your screen, I have one question that is very common. Let's suppose I'm running my experiments in an existing AWS account. What would you recommend me to do? Do you recommend me to create a brand new AWS account from scratch and configure everything that you just said? Or I can use my existing AWS account, maybe delete all my experiments and start over? What is your recommendation?
I don't know. So depends how much garbage and leftovers you have in an existing account. And if you want to keep paying for that, if there is anything of value in there, like some data in S3 buckets. Generally, it's easier to start over and it's cleaner. And if you later want to sell that company, then you can easily transfer the assets, comparing to, when you mix it up together with something else in the same account.
Yeah. There's one thing about the free tier, right? Just one thing about free tier. If you create a new account, you're gonna get all the benefits from the beginning, right?
Yes.
And related to free tier. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. So billing and cost management. We start there. Right to the screen. And here on my right, it's a new account, so there is nothing available. And here on the right, you can actually do that, all of that with Terraform. We usually do that with Terraform, so doing that in UI is a little bit unusual. But yeah, so here I'm creating a budget type. I can say monthly cost budget, which is very understandable. This is how much I'm going to spend per month. And let's say I want to be spending $500. And here I could specify my email, like Andrey at example.com. And then I will get an email notification. And I will get email notification when my spend reaches 85% of what I set as my budget, then 100%. And if forecast is expected to reach 100%. So for instance, if I create it now, start to launch services, and then in 3 days, I get the forecast that it's going to reach 100%, then I'm probably creating much more than I budgeted for. So, but for now, I just created. Now I'm going to be notified. There is nothing used. So that's done. That will save me some money potentially. And another thing that we want to do, go back to the same screen. And we have cost anomaly status. So I have a one monitor active, and that's probably my budget. So that's a cost monitor. So that's for the budget, but I also want to have anomaly detection, so I want to create one more. And okay, I can create only one, and that's what I have here. Let's see. So I guess that will also work with anomalies. So I actually don't need to configure more. I just need to have this one. All right. Here we are. Apparently we are done. With this one, yeah, used to create that with Terraform, so sorry if I'm stumbling around a little bit. Then we're going to IAM, and we need to have IAM user. You could assume that I already have my MFA set for the root user, which I haven't done because I'm gonna delete this account. Right, so let's see, users, I have 0, and I would creating a new user here, Andrey. I want this user to have access to the console, so I could do the same thing here. As you can see, actually AWS now kind of pushing it towards IAM Identity Center and using SSO. But for that, you need to have identity provider like a Google Workspace, for instance. If you don't have that one, you could still have a user, and I will have auto-generated password that I can change later on. I have user my site should recreate the password, so that's okay. And now I just need to set my permissions. You could create a group, for instance, here. That could simplify your life. If you need to add more users, so I can have admins, I have administrator access, and change password. I am user change password, so I can change my password when I log in, and we're gonna be part of this group. And we're creating the user. Now I have all of this, and I can download CSV file. It's done, so I will be able to log in here using those credentials. And another thing that I might want to do is, now I have only console, right? Then I need to have multi-factor authentication enabled. So here I would go ahead and add my MFA device. You could do passkey or security key, authenticator app or hardware token. I think passkey or security key would be the easiest if you have a physical security key or passkey. So I just want to use my Brave browser. And apparently I cannot have spaces in there. We actually had a case where the customer was trying to create a very long name here, was failing with very weird error. So, don't get crazy. Don't go crazy with the name of the MFA. And now I have my MFA configured. And then another thing I want to do is I want to create access key so I can access from the console. And again, you see, the AWS now is trying to suggest you the better ways. It's saying like, you know what, there is AWS CloudTrail available where you can run commands, and that might be a good option. So you don't need to copy your credentials locally because they could be stolen from there. Or it also says that you can go with IAM Identity Center, and then we would be signing in through SSO with the temporary credentials, which is a good thing because if those credentials are stolen, the attacker will have a limited opportunity window for exploitation. But I understand, I'm not going to use them anyway. I'm going to create those. Now I have them. I'm going to download the file and be done with it. So we have IAM user. Then we need to choose the region where we're going to be building, and we see IAM as a global service. So if I navigate to EC2, for instance, where my premier EC2 instance will be launched, I'm currently in Stockholm. I think it's because of my geographical proximity, because I am in Stockholm at the moment. But if I am to build in Europe, I probably would go with Frankfurt. So that would be my region where I would do stuff. And I will not launch any instances because our next video will dive into compute and what compute options you could choose. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do CloudTrail. So it's very easy to configure. Yeah, create a trail, management events, CloudTrail and bucket, create trail. Now I have it. So each time I do it, I do something, I will be able to see the management events in here. Let's have a GuardDuty on and we can double check that. And I'm still using root. So like when I created my IAM user, like ideally I would sign off as a root and log in as my IAM user, but to save the time, we're gonna do that. We're gonna keep with a root user. And here I am. I just enable GuardDuty, and I have today's trail, and it's done. Like, it's that easy. Now the only thing that needs to be done is to go to settings, and I believe we need to configure notifications somewhere, which I don't remember where it is. Usually we would have the AWS chatbot configured and it will send the notifications. So permission, suspend, disable, sample findings, detector, text. Well, we're gonna have the blog post where I will write in details how you configure that, and there you will be able to see how to configure notifications for GuardDuty. But GuardDuty is on right now, so the only thing that's missing is the notifications, and we have only one account. So like in organization, you would have multiple accounts in here, depending how many you have in an organization. All right, so we chosen our region, we enabled CloudTrail, we enabled GuardDuty, we created IAM user, we created the budget report and anomaly detection alerts. I think that was all I had on the list, and we could also double check that we could see the alerts. They should start arrive here, and you should be able to look at history from here. So look, that's me messing around, creating GuardDuty detector, creating the bucket. So this is from here. We know that we not only enabled CloudTrail, but there were also things happening in the background for that, because we need to store things in a bucket and so on. Right. I think that would be it with the short demonstration. Let's see how long it took. It took over 10 minutes, but not a lot.
Yeah, you made it. You made
More
it.
than
Thanks.
10 minutes.
Yeah, it was great. Just one thing that you mentioned, like using Terraform, right, to create resources. This is something debatable, right? Because when you're creating something just to test, I wouldn't go with Terraform. I would go with the console and experiment through the console, because then you can explore the service a little bit more. And then once you get the feeling of how the service will help you with your solution, then you go to Terraform and start writing code. That's my 2 cents. I know this is not so popular opinion, but maybe.
I think that's right, especially for people who don't spend all day long on AWS.
Yeah.
Like, we do have our professional deformation, so we just do everything through Terraform.
Yeah.
And we don't think about doing it in the console. So that's why I'm actually a little bit awkward in the console, like
Yeah.
where's this thing, where's that thing? Because in Terraform, you have all your options in front of you. You don't need to search for them in UI. And you say, yes, I want this, I want that, I want that. In UI, you need to find where they are. But the nice thing in UI is that, like, for instance, when you're creating the CloudTrail, you are presenting with a very little options. And actually, AWS doing a lot of lifting for you in the background. When you're creating the CloudTrail through Terraform, you need to think about all those options. You need to know what they are, and that might be overwhelming. And that's why, if you are not proficient with AWS, if you're just starting up, setting up your first MVP for your startup on AWS, go with a console. It's all right. And when you are mature, not mature, but when you have your investments flying in, when you have transaction coming through, when you have a product market fit, give us a call. We have all of that templated and we can roll it in quickly, and you don't need to suffer through the Terraform.
Yeah, exactly. And also the best practice, right? We have the best practice aligned with the Terraform implementation, so you don't need to spend your time thinking through like how to configure this in the best manner. Of course, Andrey gave us the first steps, I think, but from there are a few things that you can nail down and make it more secure, make it more scalable. But I think this is a topic for the next video, right, Andrey? We're going to be exploring some other topics.
In the next video, we're going to be talking about compute and networking.
Yeah, great. All right. I don't think we have anything else to discuss here, right? So if you watch the video until the end, please add a comment here, like bazinga, so we know you watched until the end. But jokes.
We said you have a laugh.
Yes.
For watching. For watching till the end.
Yes. Andrey, thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate. I think it was very informative, and we are waiting for you in the next video. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.